say, well, why did you choose those three words, Kai? Why did you choose educate, empower, and elevate? Because we want to educate you in this space. And that education should empower you. And once you become empowered, if you finish the same way you started, that should breed elevation. So that's why. But somewhere we separate the education from the elevation. And that's because people sometimes they're inspired or they're motivated, but there's no empowerment. Empowerment is a verb. You have to take action with empower to then ascend on the journey to elevation. Sometimes we can see the vision, and then when we come down and we sit in our quiet space, that negative chatter begins to erode that vision and how we see ourselves in a space. And so that will actually separate you from the knowledge that you have and the wisdom that you need to execute for the elevation to happen. And so I just really want to encourage somebody. I really want to encourage someone that sees the whole picture. You see it. You can almost touch it. Whatever that is, don't you go to another class to get the education. Don't do it. You have what you have inside of you. Some of us become hoarders of knowledge. And we're like books on the shelf in the library. And being a book on the shelf in the library is in an inactive state until someone pulls that book, sits down, opens its pages, reads its pages. The knowledge that they've gained, they have the wisdom to execute for elevation for that next level. And I don't want you to continue to chase something. Stop chasing something and you're going in a circle because you are searching for everything outside of you to be the best you. When you've already gone from one class to the next class to the next class to the next class, and the one place that you've not chosen to seek is within you. To actually execute on all the information that you've been burying inside of you to birth your best self, your highest self for that next level.
Good evening, y'all. It is Transformation Tuesday, and we are live with your girl, Kai Smith, also known as your hair loss advocate and the founder of the American Academy of Hair Beauty. I have missed y'all. It's been 2 weeks since I've been live. It's been almost 2 weeks since we wrapped ID Hair Loss Chronic Hair. Can you believe it? Like, time is just really, really zipping by, and we are preparing for our October ID at this point. But you guys, just in case this is your first time joining me on this platform, I want to make sure that you know who you are joining with people who is speaking to you, who qualify themselves to speak tonight. And I have over 30 years of licensed experience with profession. And I'm also a certified functional psychologist, as well as a holistic health practitioner and a certified nutritionist. And I am very passionate about helping women identify the underlying causes of their hair loss, as well as helping my peers to level up and become hair loss responders, eventually certified psychologists and holistic health practitioners. I just love all the work that I get the opportunity to do in this space with you as we continue to help people heal from the inside out, mind, body, and spirit. And I am also a wife, a mother, author, I'm a coach in the beauty industry. I love God. So many things. There's so many things to be grateful for. But tonight, I want to continue to talk about beauty and beauty. So before we hop off into this subject, because it is really deep, this is something that is pressing upon my heart, and I really want to speak about it. I want to get it out because I think that you guys deserve to hear this perspective. And it's not the gospel. I want to tell you that it is not the gospel, but it is something that I want to invite you to ponder. something that I want to invite you to ponder. So I want you to come on in and I want you to pay real close attention tonight to the conversation. But before we start talking about all of those things, I just got to like really, really, really go in for a minute about how phenomenal ID hair loss behind the chair was. Thank you so much, Jessica, for sharing as usual. You guys, sharing is caring. Please tag your beauty bestie or tag the woman who is striving to recover from hair loss or just striving to be healthier mind, body, spirit. Tag these people because they need to hear what I'm going to say tonight as well. I want to go on to, I'm going to go live because I have not yet mastered going live through this app that we're using. So I am going to go live on my other device on Instagram. I want to go live on Instagram over here so that I can live stream simultaneously. Excuse me. I'm actually getting over a cold, which is why I have not been live. I was supposed to go live last week, and I just didn't feel like it. I didn't have the energy. I was still coming down from ID. When I tell you, we had an amazing God time, an amazing God time during the 5 day stint that we have with ID. And we overserved in that space. And as a result of how much I poured out, my team poured out, and all the educators that blessed the platform poured out, I ended up sick. So I had to honor myself. Had to honor myself and take some time off as much as I wanted to come and speak with you guys on last Tuesday. Monday night, I had to say no because that's when everything just kind of started pouring down on me and I felt really lethargic and I just needed some time to recuperate. So that's what I did. So now I'm back. And as usual, Kai is speaking the truth. As usual, I'm not going to apologize for it. So just come on in. I'm giving you a chance to get in here. I'm giving you a chance to share this broadcast out, and you might want to take some notes too. But y'all, listen. This time with ID, this was our second time doing the 5 day run with ID, and it was phenomenal. The first time was phenomenal. The first time was a little different because it was my first time submitting to what God requested of me and doing a 5 day run with ID. So there were so many new things that were happening with ID on that first run. We did the second run and I knew God was going to show up. I knew he was going to show up because it was just it was too much peace going into it, right? I was like, okay, I have never had this kind of peace going into any ID since 2018. I had never had that much peace going in ID. And I'm like, okay, you didn't need as much help putting stuff together. You did a lot of this stuff on your own that you usually get help with. Like, it was just going too smooth. I usually have all kind of computer technology glitches with getting stuff done. But like stuff was done. It was in order. I was packed up, ready to go. Man, but baby, when I tell you when day one hit, I said, oh, okay, God, I see why you let me come in peace. Because if he didn't, I would have been knocked out the first day. My God, my girl Mitch came on the scene to open up ID the first day with pruning and pouring. And when I tell you that she disturbed some darkness in that element during the first 2 hours that she spoke on that stage, oh my God, God showed up so big. There was some huge breakthroughs in that space within just the first few hours of ID as a result of Micheline's obedience through Micheline's word that God gave her to speak in that room. If you know, you know. It's one of those things that you had to be there to experience what was actually happening in that space. And that was the onset of all of the outpouring. That was the onset of all of the transformation that was going to continue to happen over the next 5 days. And so when I tell you that Micheline came, poured it out, stirred some things up, transformed some things, when I tell you that one of our guests, Miss Tam Waters. She came in there bold with all her godliness and transformed that space. She opened up some things for one of the attendees that really needed that support in that space. So I just really, really thank God for aligning me with people that got God in them. I really thank God for aligning me with people that got God in them, because that's what it takes. Everybody understands their assignment, because everybody is always open to be used by God. So no matter where they are, when God pulls on them and it's time for them to show up, boom, it happens. And that was how ID was set up this time. Whenever God pulled, somebody showed up to answer that call. And that is one of the most powerful things that happens in ID, is that it brings people, it pulls on people, it attracts people who are filled with God and who are open and who are ready to receive. And this is one of the reasons why I say that ID is not a space for everyone, but it's the space for the right one, the one that knows that they need to be there, the one that feels in their spirit that they can't afford not to be there. I don't do what I do because I just want to show up and I want to have a room filled with people. I need a room filled with people that can be moved by God, not moved by Kai. You heard me? I need a room filled with people that can be moved by God and not moved by Kai. At the end of the day, it's all about what God has for the individual that God is arresting for 5 days and positioning them in the room of ID. And God is going to meet them there. Those are the people that come and fill the seats with ID. And I'm so blessed to be chosen for this room. I'm blessed to be the facilitator of this room. What you say, Betsy, it pulls those dormant spirits out and set them free, those who want it. Absolutely. This is what ID is doing. This is what they're doing. All right, Kim, what you say, it was truly amazing. God was definitely in the building. Absolutely. Hey, Miss Meta, so powerful. Absolutely love this. I absolutely love this community of passionate advocates. Yes, ma'am. I am grateful that God is aligning me with other people who match my passion, who also have gifting to be utilized in this space of beauty that is spearheaded by God. It's an amazing thing. So listen, if y'all missed ID for June, June was phenomenal. October is going to be phenomenal also, but October holds something completely different. Now, don't ask me why it's going to be different. Don't ask me how it's going to be different, because that's a question for God. I don't know. I leave it open for him to come in and to use me and the people that occupy that space the way he sees fit to meet the needs of the people he has arrested to be in that space for 5 days. So I'm super excited to do it all over again in October. But boy, when I tell y'all I was done for, because I had poured out so much that I couldn't go another further. And I had to honor myself last week and just sit down to let God refill me, because I still have so many other things that I do within my organization that requires my attention. So I needed to be refueled. And there was a time in my life and in my business where I would not have heeded to that feeling of exhaustion. I would have continued to push through. I would have continued to say, oh no, but this got to be done, that got to be done. You go live on Tuesdays, so you can't, not show up because you're going to fall short on your commitment. All of these other things need to be done. So you need to make sure that you show up for that. But one thing that I have learned through therapy and through my expertise as a holistic health practitioner is that you have to honor yourself. You don't have to push yourself. Just because you need to take a pause doesn't mean that you're not still great. You're still just as great, but you're going to be greater when you choose to heed to the exhaustion. That is God pulling on you and saying, hey, you need to honor yourself. Stop pushing yourself. You need to give yourself the grace. You need to recuperate, because guys, when we try to pour from an empty cup, we're pouring out pieces of us, and we're doing ourselves and those that are connected to us a disservice when we show up that way. And I had to learn those things the hard way, to stop trying to show up in pieces. Make sure that when I show up that I've been refilled, refueled, and I'm whole when I show up to connect to the assignment that God has given me. And that when I'm doing it because God said do it, He's going to give me the grace to get that rest. But when I assign myself to something and I feel like I'm going to be less than because I didn't meet the commitment or I didn't meet the demand, then I'm serving me and I'm not serving God. Y'all heard that? We have to be careful that we're not self-serving in all of the things that we're doing, and to make sure that we stay aligned, we reset to know that we are serving God in all of the things that we're doing. Because a lot of times when we keep pushing and we keep pushing and we don't want to take off that superwoman cape and we end up sick and need to lay down to it, that's because we're serving ourselves. We want to be validated through our actions. We want people to see us a certain way. We want to fulfill our inadequacies through those things. That's self-serving, because you're serving and doing those things for you to feel whole. But when you serve and do those things based on what God has assigned you to, people always say, Kai, I don't know how you do all that you do. I don't know how you do all that you do. I do. I do it because God has graced me for it, because I'm on assignment. And it is not an assignment that Kai has given herself. It's an assignment that God has given me. Therefore, when I do it unto Him, He gives me the grace to where I don't need to reset all the time, right? So we got to be careful in how we assign ourselves and how we show up to things. So I now ask myself, Kai, are you serving you in this, or are you serving God in this? And those two questions make the biggest difference in how well I'm going to keep myself together as I continue to track through my journey to remain on purpose, right? So with that said, we had an amazing good time. I want to publicly say this. What did it say? The body heals through rest. Rest is a necessity. Absolutely meta. I want to say this publicly, because I haven't been live since we wrapped up ID, but I want to say that I have one of the most phenomenal teams that anybody could ever ask for. When I tell you that these ladies showed up and they served like nobody's business. I'm gonna tell y'all, we went 16 hours in this space. 16. We went 16 hours in the space of ID. I didn't get not one complaint. I didn't get not one hemming and hawing. At least I didn't hear it, right? These ladies showed up for me. They showed up for me. Each one of them flew from a different state to participate in this. And they showed up phenomenally. They showed up exceptionally well. They served the people, the guests of ID. And for that, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you, Dania. Thank you, Dania, for always being there. Thank you, Dania, for seeing what I need sometimes before I know what I need, and making sure that all the needs are met behind the scenes so that I don't have to think about everything. That's huge for me. That's huge, because sometimes I can't think about everything and do the things that I'm supposed to be doing as well. Dania makes sure that things are where they need to be. I don't have to blink. I don't have to think, because Dania makes sure she has it on lock. I want to say thank you to Angela. This was Angela's first time serving on this platform. When I tell you, Angela showed up and Angela showed out. Angela showed out in a mighty way, because Angela is the one who gifted, who sponsored a whole person for ID, $3,700. Angela sponsored a whole person because God told her to do this. She sponsored a whole person. Then she came and served her behind off in the space. Now, let me tell you, she gonna get everything and everybody together up in the space, baby. And she's gonna do it respectfully. She's another one. You don't have to question. You don't have to wonder. Angela's gonna make sure that it is done. And I thank God for sending me people that I don't have to micromanage. I don't like micromanaging people. Yes, Jessica, grandma. That was grandma the whole weekend, right? And so I want to thank God for sending Angela all the way from Augusta, Georgia, to come and serve on a platform for free. She didn't have to do that. She paid for her ticket, she paid for her hotel room, and she showed up and she served for free. I want to say the same thing for Brittany. Britt. I want to thank her because she showed up and she served. Nobody whined or complained. These ladies just poured out their heart. And the reason why they could do this so well is because they've been on the receiving end of ID. They've been on the receiving end of ID and they know what it feels like to sit in those chairs. And so they came and they showed up and they showed out in a godly way. I thank God for them. I want to thank God for Jessica Davis. She's an educator and actually a team member, an official team member with us. She always comes. She comes all the way from Killeen, Texas to share her gifting with our students, and she serves, she stays all the whole 5 days. She doesn't just show up for the day that she's supposed to speak or the day she's supposed to pour. She stays the whole time and she serves the whole time. So I want to thank God for sending her into the space. And I also want to thank God for my sharpshooter, Jada Whitfield. Jada Whitfield is a genius in her own right. She's in the beauty industry. She's doing her thing as a Cosmo barber, and she also has another gifting, which is media. And that girl makes sure that she covers every single angle of that room. She doesn't miss not one hot moment in that room. She's staging things for us to get the media that we need, for you guys to get the sound bites, to feel the godly pressure that is placed in that room. And it takes a special type of individual to be able to capture that and then be able to bring that to life on any kind of video for you to feel like you were sitting in that room. So I want to say thank you. And I don't want to forget this. Listen, I do not want to forget this, y'all, because I'm so grateful and I'm filled with so much joy because of social media. I get to be global. Because of Wi-Fi, I get to be global. And someone thought of me. Someone thought of me, didn't have to think about me, but she thought about me all the way from South America. And she contacted Jada behind my back. She contacted Jada in her inbox and asked Jada if she could send something to her for me. This is social media. I just come live and I talk to y'all. And we engage and we agree and we disagree. But this woman thought so much of me that she wanted to gift me. And what she did was she sent a book, Michelle Obama's book, to me. And they were so cute. Jada and some of the other guests of ID put it together where they can record me as I was receiving the gift from Meta. And so, Meta, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for joining every Tuesday. Thank you for commenting on every post. Thank you for dialoguing. Thank you for finding value in this platform. Is truly, truly appreciated. And I love you for thinking of me. I'm so glad that the things that I share in this space resonate with you and that you took it a step further to think about me after I press end on the live, to want to gift me with something, to want to pour back into me all that I pour out into the social media space. So for that, I say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I appreciate all of you guys and the love that you expressed to me through your posts and your inboxes and all the things, and trusting in me to lead you to your next in your career. So with that said, I'm going to take a sip of water because I want to jump off into all this good conversation that I got for y'all tonight. So listen, let's talk about, can beauty be lethal? Hey, everybody on Instagram, we get ready to hop into this good conversation. Thank you guys for joining me over here. Appreciate you guys. Hey Nina, I see you over here on IG. So listen, you guys, I wanted to come live also with this hot topic. So let's run this hot topic real quick. Now, this image is an image that was placed on the cover of the New York Times. The New York Times. This happened about 6 days ago, a week ago, roughly. And let me flip it because people on Instagram can't see it. So let's flip it. So we're looking at this picture over here on Instagram. Connection is poor over here. So what I want to talk about is what this picture represents. As you can see, it's an image of an African-American woman getting a relaxer. And this is something that we've been doing for ages. We've been relaxing our hair, right? It's been a controversial topic since I can remember. I remember, watching Malcolm X movie and watching Malcolm X, put the relaxer on his hair so he can go straight. It's always been, relax or not to relax. Are you trying to change who you are? You want to make your hair look like the white people when you put the relaxer in it. Why don't you just wear your natural hair? Then we moved into the natural movement, where we stopped using relaxers because we thought relaxers were damaging our hair, so much controversy, right? And so I've always, as a licensed professional, over 30 years of experience, licensed, my sentiments have always been, it is not the relaxer that's damaging hair, it's the user that's damaging the hair. Right. And so I never thought that relaxer was damaging. I thought the misuse of relaxer would be damaging, which is why I never understood why they allow relaxer to be sold on the shelves of the grocery store or any other store for non-professionals to have access to. Or they're saying that it's a no-lye relaxer, which still has lye in it. It's just a different type of hydroxide that can be more potent than anything. So really didn't understand that theory, but here we are. We still have relaxers on the shelves that's open to the public to buy, and now we have women who are saying, I don't get the creamy crack anymore. We had Good Hair, the movie with Chris Rock, that I think just took it all out of proportion when he created that movie, because it didn't really depict us in a good light, for that matter, as far as I'm concerned. Some of the things that were shown in that movie. But it's a lot of miseducation around relaxer that gets a bad rap, right? So we stopped using the relaxer. A large percentage of African Americans stopped using it. They went natural because they thought being natural was healthier than being relaxed. Well, as a licensed beauty professional with over 3 decades of experience, I disagree with that, because you have some naturalistas whose hair is more damaged and more flammable than a person who has a relaxer. Right? So again, we learned that it's not the relaxer that's damaging the hair. It is the misuse of the relaxer, and it's the uneducated person that is trying to manage their hair unrelaxed, because we think that natural hair means more healthier hair, but natural hair takes more work than relaxed hair. And natural hair takes more conditioning than your relaxed hair, because of the depending on the curl pattern and all the other things that work against it, the pre-existing condition, there's a whole lot of conditioning balancing that needs to happen with this natural hair, right? So at the end of the day, now we have the New York Times, who wrote an article about 6 days ago, and this isn't the first time that it's popped up in the media. There was something in 2022, something in 2023, there was something in 2016. Babe, it's been on the table for a while now, right? Been on the table for a while, but now we're back at it again because we have all of these lawsuits with these relaxers, people claiming that relaxers are giving them uterine cancer, all of the things. Now, I'm going to make a disclaimer before I hop into this, because I don't want nobody coming for me, because I do bite back. Okay. So you come for me at your own risk, because I do bite back. Right now, here's the thing. How do we know that the relaxer is giving you the uterine cancer? See, how do we know that the relaxer is giving the uterine cancer? We're putting out these class action lawsuits with all of these women saying, oh, I got uterine cancer. You know, I have the fibroids. I have all of these things because I was getting relaxer 15 years ago. And now 2 years ago, I'm showing up, you know, having cancer, right? And I'm not trying to undermine anybody's health condition or anything like that. I'm only speaking facts, and I'm speaking the truth, all right? So chew up the meat, spit out the bones. But I am a big enough girl that if you do disagree with me, we can dialogue about it. But I am very adamant about the point that I am pushing tonight, okay? Just so that you know. Now, here's my concern as a certified trichologist and a holistic health practitioner, right? Now, let me just back up. Let me just back up and say, I still use relaxer personally. Oh, I'd have relaxed these sides in this back, baby, when it needs it because my hair is too curly and I wear a short cut. And when I'm not wanting to be curly, I want it to be laid to the side, right? And the relaxer is going to get me there. Yes, louder for those in the back. Kai, yes, Nina, over here on Instagram. What you said, Linda, how do we know in a world of so much toxins? Absolutely. Absolutely. So here is my concern, is that we're claiming that relaxers are causing the uterine cancer. And I'm not here to tell you that it's not. I'm not here to tell you that it's not causing uterine cancer. But I am here to impress upon you to think broader about this. Why do you say that, Kai? I say this simply because we have, and I got, look, I got all my notes here. Y'all see all these notes? I done typed up and I'm highlighting, so I'm going to go for it. So we look at the relaxer because it has phthalates and parabens and BPAs and heavy metals in it, right? So does Brazilian blowout. So does color. So does any kind of amino acid treatment or any other thio treatment. They all have the same BPAs, phthalates, parabens. They have that in it. So why is it that African Americans have been isolated in this group? African Americans aren't the only ones who touch chemicals on their scalp that have these parabens and phthalates and the like in them, right? Stick there though. Listen to what I'm saying. I want y'all to listen. Come on, real close. Listen close to me. You have all other ethnicities who use different kinds of chemicals on themselves. You even have some other ethnicities who use relaxer, for that matter, right? Hey, Jeanette. And gels, lotions, detergents, air fresheners, processed foods, dairy, meats, anything that sits on a shelf that has a shelf life is going to have phthalates. It's going to have toxins in it, endocrine disruptors, right? So why is it that we have decided to isolate relaxer and blame relaxer as the cause of the uterine cancer, right? Now, phthalates are fat-based, right? And even the waters that we drink in plastic bottles have BPAs, right? Hey, Dina. And so my point that I am making is that there are so many products and foods and environmental pollutants that contain these types of chemicals. How can we pinpoint relaxer as the culprit? So someone argued back with me and said, or I shouldn't say argue, but dialogue back with me and said, well, why is it though that African Americans, you know, are basically in higher numbers? And when we're doing the research, African Americans are popping up with the higher numbers, and all of the case studies are leading to, you know, it's the relaxer. Glad you asked me that. I'm glad you made that statement because let me talk to you about African Americans as it relates to good old America. African Americans are always the ones at a disservice. Africans are always the ones experiencing the disparities. That's what happened to us with COVID-19. That's why we were dying in such high numbers, because we already had pre-existing conditions. We get the least amount of care. We have the worst foods to choose from in our grocery stores. They choose to put the biggest pollutant companies in the places that we can live in. So there's no wonder why we're always the ones on the higher end of the statistic when it comes to illnesses, right? So we got to stop and think before we start blaming major companies for this. Now, do somebody got to take the rap? Yeah, I get it. I get it. But we can't just be sitting here filing class action lawsuits against these companies. We have some Black companies that own relaxers. We got Dudley, we have Loran, we have Design Essentials. So they gonna take a hit because somebody has decided to label the relaxers. Somebody has decided to target the relaxers. Is that what we doing? It's a distraction, y'all. It's a distraction. Because let me really talk to you about what's happening. Let me sip my water real quick. Get a little dry mouth. Let me talk to y'all about what's really happening. What's really happening is FDA is the governing agency that approves or denies whatever they choose to. But there's so much that FDA is approving that should not ever be approved for us to eat. For us to eat. We can eat it. We can ingest it. Do you know that I'm reading more and more in global news where people are relocating out of America and into other countries because they don't want their children to grow up on the foods that are approved by FDA? Yet we want to blame relaxer companies for uterine cancer. Food and drugs in our food, and it's banned from other countries. Absolutely. So this is why it is ludicrous to me that we are going to sit here and target relaxers and say that relaxers are giving African American women uterine cancer. So chew on this for a minute, y'all. Because I don't know about these case studies. But my question is, maybe somebody listening knows. My question is, in these case studies, have we taken diagnostic tests to see the pre-existing conditions of these people? Have we gone back into time to look at their health history, to see where they currently were, to see how well their liver was functioning, to see how well their immune system was functioning? Who funded the case study? Booyah, Nicola. Who funded it? Who funded it? Don't forget the attitude we gotta die of something mentality. So here's the thing. We gotta look at the bigger picture and stop getting on the bandwagon of things so quickly, things that are distractions, because there is always a hidden agenda when it comes to politics. And these relaxer companies are being targeted. They're being targeted. FDA approves things for us to ingest that is just as bad as what we're putting on our scalp. They haven't decided to ban those things yet. Now have they? So why all of a sudden are we going for the relaxer companies to ban putting it on our scalp? Yeah, the scalp is highly vascular. Yeah, we can absorb a lot of things through the scalp because it's skin, and we can do it transdermally. I get all of that, but there is a bigger issue before we get to that. The bigger issue is, how well is the liver functioning? How well does the liver function before you even put a relaxer on your scalp? And the reason why that is important, because the liver is responsible for metabolizing fats. And what happens is, because phthalates, they're fat based, right? And so they're toxic. Yes, nobody's not saying they're not toxic, but I'm saying, how many other areas are you getting phthalates in your life outside of relaxer? right? And they want to say, oh, it's because the frequency of what African-American women get the relaxers done, because we're getting them every 8 to 12 weeks. And, so that frequency, causes a higher risk rate, da, 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 da. Yeah, but the frequency that you eat is every freaking day. The frequency that you eat is every freaking day. So let's go to the parabens and the phthalates and stuff that's in the foods that's supposed to be more pure. Because we're picking up more toxins through what's on the tip of our fork than we are with what's on the tip of that tent brush. Come on, y'all. And so with that said, you have this liver that cannot break down the fats because it has over 500 different enzymatic functions. So when those toxins come into the body, I'm giving y'all a little trichology right now, okay? When those toxins come into the body, what happens, because the body is designed to be able to protect itself. So what happens is when it recognizes toxic waste, it takes it, it encapsulates it in fat. When it encapsulates it in fat, it tucks it away in your cells as fat, because the fat is going to insulate it. It's going to keep the toxic matter where it needs to be. But while it's tucking it away in your cells in the fat, we got a lipid layer, a bilipid layer around our cell membrane that is fat also. So as all of this toxic waste keeps coming in and being enveloped inside of fatty tissue and in the cells, it's thickening the cell membrane so that nothing can get in and nothing can get out. Right? Now, on top of that, as an endocrine disruptor, these parabens, these phthalates that they're talking about, that's in the relaxer, that's also in the foods, that's also in the detergent, that's also in the lotion, that's also in shampoos, that's also in all the other things that we might be breathing in as we're cleaning our homes, right? Your baking goods, your dairy, all the foods that's shelved, we're getting it in every day. So we're taking toxins in, and the more toxic overload we take on, the less the liver is going to be able to excrete, the more the lymphatic system is going to build up, because the lymphatic system is what also supports with how we utilize fats in the body. So now the lymphatic system is also a part of the immune system. Now we got white blood cells that's building up because the body is trying to fight off all this toxic matter that's building up in our bodies, right? So now we got autoimmunity, or we got immune reactions happening. We got all kind of waste building up in our blood, making us toxic, right? And along with that, because of all of the phthalates, all of the parabens, now they are mimicking estrogen. They're mimicking estrogen, guys. It's a synthetic molecule that the body is recognizing as estrogen. So now women are getting estrogen dominance. They stop producing their own estrogen. So we don't really have enough estrogen, but we got enough synthetic molecules that's acting like it's estrogen, that's building up, that's toxic and working against our physiology. Then when we start building that up in our system, the synthetic molecules of estrogen, and we get estrogen dominance, and we don't even know we have estrogen dominance, then it starts lowering our progesterone. So now we're in balance. We're having all these symptoms. We start having irregular menses. We start having all kinds of feelings of fatigue and all kinds of other things happening. Then guess what ends up happening? Depending on the person, because we're made equally, we respond differently. You might end up with endometriosis. You might end up with uterine cancer. You might end up with breast cancer. And then the crazy part about it is when you end up with breast cancer, the post-chemotherapy treatment is that we give you an aromatase inhibitor to stop you from producing estrogen, because estrogen is the precursor to the breast cancer or to the uterine cancer. And we don't want you to get it again, so we're going to suppress your estrogen, but you never told me to stop eating the toxic waste that's being enveloped in fatty tissue and hiding out as toxic waste in my body and causing my cells to be infiltrated. Nothing can get in and nothing can get out. Never told me that. But we want to blame the relaxer company. We want to blame the relaxer company. This is good old America for you. This is why you hairstylists can't afford not to take trichology courses. because you need to know how to protect what you do. You need to know how to stand for something so you don't fall for anything. So you're not one of the hairstylists walking around talking about cancer is toxic. I mean, relaxers are toxic, so I no longer use relaxers. Well, you might as well stop doing anything, because it's all toxic at the end of the day. What you need to learn how to do is keep your detoxification pathways open so that your body knows how to naturally excrete it and it don't build up in your body. That's what you need to learn how to do. Because we live in a toxic world. It's not going to get better. FDA works against our physiology. Everything that we touch and consume is going to be toxic to the body. But when you know how to keep your detoxification pathways clear, it will not build up in the body. It won't build up in the body. See, this is what we talk about at ID. This is what we talk about in the 18-month certification course. This is what we do. This is how we roll over here. This is how I teach my functional trichologists. Y'all learning that in y'all trichology course? I'll wait, because I know y'all not. Y'all learning that in y'all trichology course? Because they learn that at AHSD. They know how to advocate for their customers at AHSD. We ain't teaching trichology and patterns of hair loss over there. We're teaching physiology and how to map the body so that we can understand what's really happening in the body. And we understand at AHSD that as a result of realigning the body, the hair is the fruit and the body will grow it. In horticulture, when the leaves turn green, we don't cut the brown leaves off. We go into the soil and we give the minerals and vitamins that are needed in that soil so that we can repopulate the tree. We can replenish the tree. And that's what you have to do with the body. And that's what we teach at AHSD all day, every day. All day, every day. And so I want y'all to stop it with this foolishness talking about we need to sue these relaxer companies, that you getting in on this class action lawsuit because you got uterine cancer. Because you can't, if you gonna sue the relaxer company, then you need to go and sue all the other companies that you have used on your box stuff. Go in your cabinets, go in your refrigerator, look in your kitchen cabinets, look in your bathroom cabinets, look in your hallway cabinets. And I want you to get a list of all the companies that you use. And I want you to file a class action lawsuit against them too, because they all got something in it that's working against your health. They all got something in it that's causing endocrine disruption. They all got something in it that has a phthalate or a paraben in it. I'm just telling y'all the truth. Don't shoot the messenger. AHSD is the best program in the land, changing lives on a global scale. Absolutely, baby. I concur. I approve that message. Jessica, I told you I was coming in hot tonight. I wasn't playing. Because this is pure education. This is us not following a trend because this is what they told us. Because this is what they told us. Y'all still with me on IG? This is the truth. And I believe in giving the truth. Now, again, I'm not saying that it's not toxic to our well-being. I'm not saying that relaxers are not toxic to our well-being. That is not what I said. So if you think that's what I said, go to the replay, because that ain't what I said. What I'm saying is that we cannot single-handedly blame the relaxer companies for causing uterine cancer. We cannot, because everything else that we're consuming has those same things in it. So it's the lifestyle as a whole. I'm going to pause right there because I want to go to commercial, and then we're going to come right back so we can continue this conversation. Share this while we on the break, y'all.
Oh, listen, y'all, I'm about to get y'all the tea. Hold up. When I say my level of expectation, I already expected something grand, because let's just be honest, y'all. It is the Kai Smith. She always shows up with excellency. She always shows up in her finest through God, first and foremost. So I already knew it was going to be something super dope. But it was even doper than I thought it was going to be. So when I say I came in, saw my name, saw my frame picture, and even the quote that I'm different. Come on now. Because I always say, my difference makes a difference. And then I didn't even notice this part. Underneath it, it was a quote about dying empty. I always talk about it too. When I say, y'all, everything, I just need everything. Okay. Woo. Came in, told us we was about to receive, and we received. Then Mitch came in, talked about the pruning and the pouring. I mean, all on my toes, y'all. I mean, all on my toes, making sure we prune in the right season. Like, listen, pour, and people pouring in, and it's just dumping on you. And yes, that was amazing. Ooh, Dr. Joy, joy cometh in the morning, baby. That's all I'm gonna say. But look, it was everything. She sat there, broke it down, talk about mindset, emotional, intellect. I mean, like, really checking yourself. Listen, I ain't gonna give y'all all of it. All I'm just saying is, y'all need to make sure you sign up for the next one. That's the tea, baby.
I love Tam. All right, y'all. So y'all heard her. She gave y'all the tea. Y'all saw it over on IG too, because I flipped the screen for y'all. But listen, this conversation, I had somebody over here on IG. I am the hair therapist. Says, I'm so glad somebody is speaking publicly about this. Absolutely, because we must use our voices. I'm one that I won't say I'm fearless, because that would be a lie, because sometimes I am fearful, right? But I am courageous enough to move beyond the fear. And I am courageous enough to not really stay focused on what other people think about what I'm doing, because God gave me this courage because he knew exactly the assignment that he was giving me. And because I know I do have the influence, it is my job to come and speak this kind of truth on my platform so that I can educate the other people who may be oblivious. What are you saying? I am the hair therapist. Says, it's really sad because most of the time Black people hear something and just jump on the bandwagon with no true knowledge or research about the bandwagon. It's time to be real about the real. I absolutely agree. And again, I'm not saying that relaxers don't have toxins. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is the relaxer is not the only toxic usage that you have in your life. So how can you single-handedly blame the relaxer companies for your uterine cancer? You just can't. There's no evidence that you could possibly stand on to say that this is precisely where your uterine cancer came from. Because the liver has to process too many toxins. The kidneys have to process too many toxins. And when the liver is sluggish, it will use the skin as the excretory system, which is one of the reasons why we come up with rashes and the like on our skin, or we have pruritus on our skin, because we have so many toxins that are trapped and it's trying to get out. You really have to manage the poisonous environment we live in. It's everywhere around us. Absolutely, Betsy. I completely agree. And so we can't just single-handedly blame one place, person, or thing for why we have cancer or any kind of illness, because it is a lifestyle. It is an accumulation of things that causes this to happen. It's the chronic usage of a thing or things that brings this on. It's not just one thing. And so here is the crazy part. And here is why I love doing what I do, because when women come into my space and when students are new into my space and I shift their perspective, they're like, oh, wow, Kai, I didn't think about it like that. But here's the thing. When you understand that we've never been taught how to be in health, more than likely your body was not functioning optimally when you started getting a relaxer, and you could have been a child, right? Because when we are born, we take on the gut microbiome of the mother when we are born. And if the mother's gut microbiome is poor, then we take on a poor gut microbiome. And then truthfully, we start feeding our children too early the foods that they should not even be eating yet, that their digestive system it doesn't even have the ability to digest the things. When we start giving our children cereal too early, that typically has wheat and other stuff in it, their digestive systems aren't built to start breaking that stuff down yet. So we start impairing the digestive system at just months old because of things that we've been taught. It's not the diet, it's the genetic. It's not the genetics, it's the diet. And because we learn bad habits so early on in life, we start degrading our physiology, right? And the dysfunction starts from childhood. The hair loss and imbalances manifest in adulthood. Absolutely. Which is not an acute situation. It becomes a chronic situation. So a lot of times, because we've never been taught how to be in health, we think feeling symptoms is normal, and it's not normal. It's your body's communicator telling you something is off. And then you go to your doctor and you say, hey, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. Oh, no, you're fine. Your blood levels are fine. How many of you have been told your blood levels are fine, yet your symptoms persist? You're not fine. They just don't know where to go and look, which is one of the reasons why I'm so grateful that I have been blessed with the genius that I have with physiology mapping to educate the clients who retain me for my trichology services, and to educate beauty professionals who retain me for their educational support to advance their career. Because those who have sat under my tutelage by way of hair loss client or student, they understand how to be in health. And they never understood that before. So when we are amongst the population who has never been taught how to be in health, how do we know when we're unhealthy when the doctor is telling us that our blood work is fine, and then years later we end up with cancer? We think that it's an acute situation and that it just happened yesterday. Cancer is not something that just shows up overnight. Cancer is something that has been brewing through to too much toxicity in your cells for a very long time. And now it has just manifested itself into this cancer. Because as your cells replicate, if they are unhealthy, you're replicating unhealthy cells. When your DNA does not have what it needs to support that protein synthesis, when you don't have enough polysaccharides, when you don't have enough minerals to glue that DNA together, then that's how you get the mutations in your DNA that start striking up all of the concerns that affect your gene pool. And if cancer is on your gene pool, then, my God, because of your unhealthy lifestyle, your DNA is turning over and you're turning on those genes. And yes, dehydration is probably at the forefront of all illness. Dehydration. Because blood cannot move without water. Blood cannot move without water. Blood becomes stagnant. When we become stagnant, we're just like a pond that we see sitting with a lot of algae in it. When you look at a river is flowing. That water is clear, crisp, because it's moving. But if your blood has no water and it's stagnant, you're sick and riddled with symptoms that you have probably normalized, right? And that lymphatic system is even worse, because the lymphatic system does not have a heart that beats it to make it move. You must be hydrated and you must be active in your physical to keep that lymph fluid flowing. Y'all, this ain't rocket science. But it feels like it's rocket science because no one has ever taught us how to be in health, but they've taught us how to rely on medications. So they've taught us how to respond to our health with a medication, but they have never taught us how to respond to our health with the food that is medicine. And because they can't patent onions and garlic and the things, the turmeric and all the things that keep us healthy, then they decide to put some of these foods and herbs and stuff in the medicines, because that's the only way that they can patent them. But they know that herbs give life. They know vitamins and minerals and hydration give life. But they don't teach us that. They teach us to eat off of that doggone standard American diet, which is the very thing that's killing us. and why we can't get well. Yeah. Yeah. It's tight, but it's right. It's tight, but it's right. And I'm here to shed light on this. And if you are someone who is losing your hair, whether it's thinning, whether you have bald patches, whether you have burning, itching, tingling sensation, or whatever, what I am telling you is that there is a way for you to heal yourself. There is a way for you to heal yourself without using a doxycycline, without using a clobetasol, without using a minoxidil, without using a finasteride, without any of those things. There's a way for you to heal yourself. And if you're interested in learning, then I invite you to schedule a discovery session with me so that I can support you recover from hair loss. You can go to yourhairlossadvocate.com. That is yourhairlossadvocate.com. And you can schedule a complimentary call with me so that I can support you with the recovery. And then if you are a beauty professional who wants to be able to advocate for the clients that sit in your chair to be in better health, to give them longevity, to help them reverse disease, to help them reverse hair loss, then I implore you to enroll in ID, because that is your passport. ID, hair loss behind the chair, is your passport to the 18-month trichology course through AAHSD, which is the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases, where we train beauty professionals to become functional trichologists, right? So there is a way, but you just have to want to know how to do better. And I'm here to show you. I'm here to educate you. And I have 2 different spaces for you to learn from me, whether you are a woman losing hair or you are a beauty professional looking to level up, because it is required of you. So many people are falling ill on your watch that don't have to be ill, only if you have the expertise and the knowledge to whisper in their ears when you're standing over top of their head behind that chair. Only if you can speak life to them through functional trichology. Oh, you be set apart as the authority in your area if you could do that. So I invite you. I invite you to join us. I invite you to experience ID hair loss behind the chair, October 19th through the 23rd. Registration is open. All you have to do is answer the call. Yes, Betsy, knock, knock. Answer the call. Elevate your conversation with your client. They will definitely appreciate you for it. So listen, I'm not going to hold y'all. I'm ready to get out of here because I've been live with you for an hour, and I said I was going to go an hour tonight. But it's time for us to do better as hairstylists, as barbers, as cosmetologists, as braiders, as natural hairstylists. It's time for us to do better. It's time for us to carry our clients through the times that they need us most when it comes to their health. It's time to educate them about why they are not in health, but they are in sickness. It's time to bring them through to the other side, which is health and wellness. So can beauty be lethal? Absolutely. Beauty can be lethal, but does it have to be? No, it does not. Now, I'm not talking about all the other foolishness that we're doing, like, putting Fix-A-Flat in your booty because you want the BBL and all the other craziness that we injecting in our bodies. I'm not talking about those kinds of things. Those things are off the table. I'm talking about just the regular old stuff that we've been doing, to ourselves for years with beautifying our hair and the skin products and all of that stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Can it be lethal? It can be, but it doesn't have to be. If you learn how to be in health, because there's no way on God's green earth for you to just be natural, because they are putting pesticides, herbicides in our fruits and vegetables. That's toxic to us as well. So even if you're eating from the ground, you're still getting poison, right? But if we understand how to take care of this body, then you can preserve your body, because there's no way you can be toxin free, because we live in a toxic world. And that is just the truth, right? But we can support our detoxification pathways with eliminating the things that we take in by way of breathing, by way of touching, and by way of ingesting. And there's a way to do that. And if you are a woman who's seeking to do better with her health because your hair is thinning or coming out, then go to yourhairlossadvocate.com and reach out to me. If you are someone, a cosmetologist, a barber, a braider that is licensed through your state, a natural hairstylist that is licensed through your state, then reach out to me because I can help you elevate. I want to thank you guys for joining me for this hot conversation tonight. I will come back to you again live on Tuesday. You guys be good to yourselves, and we will see you again soon. Good night. You got to do it afraid. You got to do it the unknown. And you can't do this to God. Because I was holding on to clients because I was in an expired season. And being in an expired season, you hold other people up from getting what they're supposed to get. So when I release those clients, guess what? They're going to other people that need those clients. So my release is a blessing for someone else. So I'm holding up because I'm hoarding. And God is already making room for me spiritually in other areas of my life and gifting because I've served all my time here. And I asked God for this. So how dare you be afraid when it show up and you want to hold on to something that you hoard and that's no longer yours. These people belong to somebody else in the next season. And you're overstaying because it's comfortable, because you got used to it, because this is how you've been living. Somebody in here is comfortable. Somebody in here is afraid. Somebody in here is doing this to God. And God is saying, I need to see more of you. And the only way you can prove yourself to me is by releasing back to me what is already mine, that I've already given to you. And I just need to see if I can trust you to give it back. Whoever this message is for, you got to go to God like this. Because you're giving everything back and you can take everything in.